You have a beautiful record collection. My God.
Well, thanks very much. And I think Not a Surf is in there somewhere.
Oh,
And
awesome. Right on. Next
so,
to Nas or next to Nilsson. Who are we
right.
reading here?
And
Napalm Death.
that's
When I would look in record stores, it was usually Napalm Death.
That's funny. It's funny that you say that because sometimes I think about that. Sometimes something weird is living next to something else alphabetically, and
Yeah.
that is funny. That happens for sure. Tell us about the Salt Collective. You're a part of the Salt Collective. When you were a kid, did you ever know that you were going to grow up to be a part of the Salt Collective? You didn't know that.
N- I did not. Life is full of wonderful surprises, and I mean, gosh, everything's a surprise, really. Being in a band is sort of a surprise. Being in a band this long is a surprise. And yeah, this group it's great. You know, I was asked to write a couple of songs to some finished tracks. I was told about the project and who was involved, and um, a lot of the names are people I'm a big fan of, so that made it a very easy decision. And I also really like the tracks. I did one at first, and then asked to do another. Um, yeah, it's been really lovely. I think the record's really good.
Yeah, it sounds great. And tell us a little bit about how the group came together, how you guys hooked up. Obviously, it's I don't know if we could call it a kind of a super group, and it's just a lot of different personalities. But how did you all kind of meld together to get together?
Well, the a lot of the melding took place without me, before me. This French trio, Salt,
Right.
headed up by Stéphane Schück. He had asked a number of people to be involved, and I guess wanted a lot of singer-songwriters to finish the songs. I've Posey's drummer Frankie Siragusa asked me to write to a finished track once. I mean, I think there are a couple other times that I've been asked to do that, but it's always a lovely experience because it's so instant compared to how I write alone, from the ground up.
Right.
Um, and also, it's kind of nice to not have musical choices. I think that kind of constriction is really neat. And it's kind of like singing along with the radio. It just happens to be an instrumental channel, an
Right.
instrumental station, and you're trying to see if anything's missing
Right.
or what might be missing, or you know uh, what it makes you think about. And I love that. It's like an express train to the kind of adventure and discovery that you have by yourself. You know,
Yeah.
and a weird kind of this is a poor analogy, but I was thinking about how when I first learned a few guitar chords and got a first couple of chord books, like
Sure.
tablet, not tablature, like just chord books of like I was a
Showing the
huge
figures like how you
yeah,
play each chord. Yeah, I have a few of
and I
those.
was a huge early Who fan. Really loved they were kind of my first like my band that made me feel transported, and also like my secret, because when
Mm,
you hear something on the radio, it's not your secret. A lot of other people are listening at the same time. But I went to a school where there weren't a lot of overt or demonstrative music fans. Like, we wore a uniform, first of all, so it's not like anybody could be wearing like a Rush patch on their
right.
jean jacket. There was nothing like that. So a classmate gave me a cassette of Tommy, and then I went to found a local record store. I had to find one first, and then bought all the early Who records. Anyway, this is a long side story, but basically, when I got this first book of chords, it was like getting on a amusement park ride, like getting on a roller coaster, like climb into a song,
Mm.
and get this. I didn't have to think of it. I knew it, and I could play the chords, and so and kind of feeling like somebody else. I think is part of the excitement of covering a song, you know, is
Right.
putting on a musical persona or something, or it's like putting on a costume or something. But anyway, writing to something that's finished is a cool hybrid of that, because I'm jumping on a roller coaster, but also kind of helping steer it a little bit. Anyway,
Yeah, that is an interesting perspective. It is a different way of doing things, and I could see that being exciting. You know, you kind of get a product that's almost finished, and you go, okay, now I have my chance to inject myself in here.
Yeah, yeah, and you get to do half the work.
Right.
And not to call it work, it's always an adventure. I find the only part of songwriting that feels like work sometimes is like the last 10%.
Mm.
You know, the
Finishing, yeah.
yeah, finishing. But I didn't feel that with this, because all the musical decisions were made, and also it's such a hard deadline. Well, like not a deadline so much as a true line. Like, it does exist.
Right.
It has to be finished because it exists.
Right.
You know, it will be finished.
We got to do this.
You gotta do this.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. And then we played one show. We played a private show in Paris for friends of Stéphane's, friends and family, at an old time recording studio. It was, really enjoyed it, and really fun to get together as a band, and also, Chris Stamey, the producer of the record, who did that wonderfully. I think he did a great job. Also kind of steered the rehearsal too. And that's fun for me too, because to be in somebody else's band is fun, to try and just
Right.
be a good team member, you know.
Yeah, you're not you don't have to be the management part of it is taken out of the equation a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
So, you guys all come from, you have a lot of characters on this album from different backgrounds, and it's kind of interesting because listening to it, you feel like you're almost flipping through a little record collection. Everybody brings a little something different to the table, and everybody's
Yeah.
showcased at different times. How did that kind of work out? How was that sort of decided, maybe in the rehearsal or the production element, but how did how did it come to be that everyone's strengths were highlighted?
Well, I don't know who, I don't know if it was Stéphane or Chris's decision to, I wonder if it was Stéphane maybe who decided which songs to give to whom. I really don't know.
Interesting.
So that part, it wasn't like I was sent a bunch of tracks to choose from. I was just sent the one and then sent one more.
I see.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about that. But I was just thinking, walking over here before talking to you about the common ground. The Big Star documentary, Nothing Can Hurt Me, just started streaming, so I hadn't been able to see it before that. So I just started watching it last night, and and that touches a lot on how many groups sort of grew up taking Big Star as an influence, and I was thinking about other, even individual songs that you can feel really spread out in interpretation, in being an influence, like See Emily Play by Pink Floyd,
Sure.
Can't Explain by The Who, I don't know, Galveston, all the songs that have like electrified kids,
Right.
who then pick up guitars or make them want to pick up guitars. For me, of all things, it's bizarre. I listened to radio obsessively as a child. I was a latchkey kid. My parents were out a lot, so my sister and I were kind of raised on radio. I think
Yeah, you got home and put the radio and TV on. Sure.
Yeah. Not that the TV was not as my parents would feel the back of the TV when they came home to see if it was warm, because we were not allowed to watch much of that. But the first song that gave me chills was She's So Cold, of all things. That Stone song, an emotional rescue. I think in part, it might be because there's a phaser on the guitars, which is such a slinky, exciting kind of. I love things that are like real and artificial. You know, like double tracking is
Sure.
like super reality because it's two real
Two of
things,
it.
but it's impossible because one person can't
Right.
have two voices. So it's like this fictional reality, you know, like just one step away from reality. Anyway, maybe it was the phase shifters. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have misophonia, which is a sensitivity to little sounds. Like if I'm at a restaurant eating with somebody and there's a conversation at the next table, I don't want to eavesdrop. I definitely respect people's privacy, but there's something I cannot help but track it.
You zero in on it.
I zero in on it, and I think I wonder if a lot of musicians have misophonia, which is known as a condition. I think because like the sound of like an adult, kids don't bother me at all, but like if an adult is chewing in an unnecessarily loud way,
Right, right.
I've read that it makes some people angry. It doesn't make me angry. It just makes me uncomfortable.
How about like a clock ticking or something?
That's okay, but not if I'm focusing on it and trying to sleep. That's
Right.
impossible. But anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you all that. I don't know why.
No. It's good stuff.
Oh, because I was thinking of influences. I think just thinking like where
Right.
what ties this particular group of musicians together: Matthew Sweet, Juliana Hatfield, Richard Lloyd, Mitch Easter, you know, Susan Cowsill. It's like not all from the same scene, but there's something about. For me, I'm 56, and 80s college radio was a super formative time, place, school grouping.
Yeah. And that sound comes through on the album.
Yeah, I feel like it does.
Yeah, for sure. And one of my favorite songs is the tune you're featured on there, another bus coming. I really like
Oh
that
yeah,
tune. Can you tell us a
thank
little
you
bit
so
about
much.
it? You're welcome.
Yeah, gosh, oh yeah, just great. You know, I love how sometimes something can feel very foreign, and then you get to understand it, and then it feels totally right and natural. And there's
Mm.
something about there's one bass note in there. It's like the second note in the chorus. I think it's an E or something. But that at first, I like a dog who hears some strange sound, you know, cock my ear, like what? But now it feels so natural and super catchy. It's about regret, getting over regret, not focusing on regret, and remembering that what matters is from now on.
Mm.
You know, there's another bus coming.
Another chance.
There's always another chance. Always, always, always. And don't waste your time looking back, and don't catastrophize. I'm not a super catastrophizer, but there's definitely a list of like things I've done wrong or whatever that is there, and part of growing up or part of staying alive is learning to not look at it, not worry about it,
Yeah.
or look at it and don't panic. You know, just it's all right. Everything's
Roll,
okay.
roll with the punches a little bit.
Roll with the punches. Don't get too attached. From now on is all you have anyway. So it's a super positive song because that's at any anxious moment I have, you know, you always come out the other side of it. You always get past it. And all those moments of getting past have in common, I think, that relief of remembering that you're moving forward, and there's, you know, life is only in one direction.
Yeah, it sounds like you created a personal mantra for yourself there, you know. And for others, you know, anybody that keys into the meaning of the tune or understands it, you know, hey, there's another bus coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad I'm glad that's yeah, sure. That's a great interpretation, and I hope so. That would be a nice feeling. Um, yeah, and it's, you know, it's pretty simple, but it's all true. I'm not good at math. You know?
It's funny. I caught on to that line myself because I'm also horrible at math. So I think
Yeah.
that caught my attention right quick. You know, I went, "Oh, that's an interesting line," because I'm
Yeah.
not good at math either.
I was okay at first. I was with the pack at school, and then one day, I don't know if it was sixth, seventh, eighth grade, somewhere in there, we learned division. Maybe it was earlier than that. I can't remember what year you learned division, but I was out sick that day.
Mm,
And when I came in the next day, I saw that everybody had learned something new and foreign to me. And the teacher came over right to my desk and said, "Do you want me to show you?" Because I must have raised my hand and said, "Sorry, I missed this. I don't know how to do this." And she showed me, and I didn't get it, but out of politeness, embarrassment, or whatever,
right.
I said I lied and said that I had gotten it, but I never caught up. And from that from that little setback grew a huge chasm between me and everybody who was keeping up.
The
So
other math bus never came.
the other math bus never came. Although my dad wrote me a little math book after that, which was
Oh, that's
so
cute.
nice of him. But this will sound silly, but the kindness of him doing that was so great, and I was so conscious of it that then when I didn't immediately get it on the first page,
Mm.
I felt bad, and that sort of added to the pressure. And I wish I had it now. It was very very kind of him to do. My dad was a really good, inventive and generous parent.
Yeah, that sounds like a sweet thing to have done.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
on this tune and of course the other songs that you're involved with, how was the recording process? The whole project seems to be it was put together very uniquely. So I'm just curious how you kind of went in the studio and did this, or did you do it in separate places, or did everybody get together, or how did it kind of
Totally
work out?
separate. I think the Salt Trio themselves did some tracking in Paris, and then I think the DBs uh, did tracking. I think at Mitch Easter's studio and maybe somewhere else, but I did my part right here on
Right
this
there.
microphone. Yeah, so there was a lot of, and I don't know about the other singers. I'm sure there was a lot of long distance stuff, which is a great way to work. There are absolute pros and cons. The con is that you can't beat the feeling in a room together. But anyway, that's almost more important for tracking. I feel like vocals are kind of another thing. I've heard this
Mhm.
story that when Van Morrison made Astral Weeks, I think he wasn't in the room with the band. I think he was in a little what you call an ISO booth.
Mm.
That's like a
Sure,
glassed off
sure.
area. But I can't remember where I heard this, but I think the drummer never met him or something.
Right.
It was a very separated experience, even though I think it was on live. So that's an interesting. They're sort of like the vibe, but without the communal aspect.
So the new album is out on vinyl, of course. I just showed you, but I'll show you again because you
Yeah,
are on it.
yeah.
And were you involved at all in the production of this, or and I'm
No,
just curious about your relationship, of course, with vinyl. What you have, and of course what releases have been uh, reissued on vinyl for Not a Surf, or just in
sure.
your own
Well,
personal
I've
collection.
my own. My first job was in a record store. There was a store called Record Runner on Cornelia Street in New York. And I was in there when I was 16, 17, and heard a couple of people talking about a Hoodoo Gurus concert coming up. And I was a big fan of theirs. And so started talking to these other kids. And I think we met down at the store again, and I got friendly with the owner uh, behind the counter, whose name was Michael Carlucci, who was in a group called Winter Hours. And I became very friendly with him, and then he asked me to take over while they were on tour, and then eventually I became their roadie for a little while.
Oh,
um, so why am I telling you that? Just to say I loved that job. My last official job was also in a record store. That was uh, 2001 or something, and that's where I met my wife. She worked at the same store called Earwax in Williamsburg in Brooklyn.
Sure.
Yeah, our first album, Not a Source first album, High Low, did not come out on vinyl. That was in '96, and that was kind of probably near the end of the big dip when vinyl disappeared for a while.
Right.
And then has since come back, and it's kind of the most durable format. Cassettes will wear away or get, the tape will get stuck to itself. And MP3s, I don't know if it's happened to you already, but it has to me, where like I've got some old hard drive somewhere and I don't know where the power adapter is.
Gone.
And I didn't migrate all my stuff. I've got some old digital cameras that have some movies on them. I better figure out how to get them off before it doesn't turn on anymore. I think Damon, I can't remember his last name. Maybe you could look it up. I'm so sorry. From Damon and Naomi from Galaxy 500, wrote a great essay recently, in recent years, about a digital dark age that we may be in.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, everything, there's so much, and if it gets lost to I'm repeating myself, but if it gets lost because we lose the adapter to the hard drive, it's gone.
Right.
Gone. So I'm very glad it's on vinyl. I don't mean to say that records don't exist if they're not on vinyl, but it sure helps them exist.
Yeah,
absolutely. It sure confirms their existence. So I'm glad this is confirmed.
What about Not a Surf's catalog? What's not on vinyl right now, or
well,
is any plans?
High Low.
That was reissued.
And that was reissued, and everything else. Proximity Effect probably didn't come out on vinyl right when we first released it. But everything else, but it's since been reissued, and every record since then has come out on vinyl, and I'm happy to say they're all in print. So we're very lucky that way. That's
cool. And do you listen at home a lot, or are you even though we believe that vinyl is the one of the best ways to archive music, which it's funny, I talked to B. George from the Archive of Contemporary Music. I don't know if you know that building. It used to be in Lower Manhattan on White Street. It was he's got about 3 million records. It's kind of like a library museum.
Wow.
And I just interviewed him because they had to move the collection. Of course, Lower Manhattan became too cost prohibitive to have the collection down there. So they moved it out a few years ago, and they're trying to figure out what to do with these 3 million records.
Wow.
But my question to him was, hey, what do you say to people that just say, hey, why don't you just digitize this stuff and be done with it and call it a day, instead of hauling these 3.2 million records around? He says, very simply, he said, the internet will not exist.
Yes. Right.
The internet's not going to exist. How are you gonna listen to this stuff? And I went, wait a minute. Okay.
I mean, I hope he's wrong, but
right. But it could.
But
it could go away and come back too. Who knows?
Yeah, it would be certainly whatever the word, presumptuously overconfident to assume that it won't disappear. I spend most of my time listening digitally. Because most of my time listening to music is walking around or doing groceries or whatever, or I'm at the computer and I'm working or doing admin and stuff. I have a record player here. We have a record player at home. Nothing fancy. I'm not an audiophile. I like, I think Crosley's are really unfortunate.
Right.
It's great that they're so available, but that really doesn't sound great. But a lot of old portable ones do. But I like a plain old hi-fi.
Yeah.
But I do listen to it a lot, and we recently got a new turntable at home. Got the Pioneer 500 or something 500. It's great. Okay. It's got a 50%.
Speed control?
Yes, speed
Yeah.
50%. Isn't that great?
Yeah. So you could like,
Because
you can listen to all your old records and really hear yourself.
yeah, well, I listen to a lot of I really like 45s on 33. Some of them
Oh,
are totally marvelous. Like
yeah.
Pinball Wizard on 33, you should hear that. It's a thing of glory. It is so great. Um, I keep meaning one day to do like a DJ night of all 45s on 33.
That's interesting.
Um, like These Dreams by Heart,
Yeah.
which I really
I love
love.
that song, by the way. I can't
Oh,
believe you
isn't it
just brought
great?
that song up. Bernie
Oh,
Taupin lyrics there on that one.
no, really?
Yeah, he wrote the
Oh,
lyrics on
wow.
that.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah,
Yep.
that's great. And I get, Jolene really got around. You remember there's a sliver. So that might have be what set me on the path. Although I've also heard, I haven't heard this in ages. I only heard it for a moment. Some of the Chipmunks records,
Mm,
like Chipmunk punk records, are
I
all
have
sped
that.
up. And if you slow them down, pretty righteous.
It's like a normal, yeah, the normal
Yes,
speed.
pretty
Th-
rocking.
That's
So I don't
pretty
know
cool.
if you had a night of records played on 33, if everyone would just have to drink Jägermeister or something very syrupy.
Slow everything down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
So you guys have some shows coming up, and in fact, we're going to get this interview out before you hit New Jersey, which you'll be in the next 2 weeks or so. And
Yeah,
how's it been getting everybody together? I imagine everybody's you have quite a roster of people here to get on the same calendar, and everybody's busy with their own stuff. How's that been
for
working?
sure. Well, thankfully I didn't need to organize it, but we've already had there've already been a couple of days of band practice, though that was not Rob Ladd from the Connells. He'll be drumming, and Mitch Easter wasn't present, so we're going to have a day of rehearsal in Chapel Hill before the first show. Although some smaller version of that group may have already been practicing or will be practicing before that. So I don't know. It's just good luck that everyone was available.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
pretty remarkable. And what about Not a Surf? What's going on? What's can people expect to see um happening soon?
Well, I don't know about the timing, but we are putting the final touches on mixing a new record that's done.
Cool.
So it's being mastering later this month. And what I don't know about timing is when it's going to come out.
Yeah.
But
This year, I guess, right? By
yeah,
by
this
the end of the
year,
year
yeah,
sometime, yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely by the end of the year. And it's studio album number 9.
Wow.
Um, I'm very glad to have made it this far. I'm excited about it. This one took a little longer, not for any reason, probably the pandemic, which for a lot of people was a very productive time, and for other people was a more family-oriented time, and that was the case with us.
Right.
So it's not. So I think you just add that invisible two
Yeah.
to every time calculation.
Right, right, right. That number 9 is pretty impressive, and it makes me think. Of course, you're in the band, but my connection with the band too. That was your first album was when I was in senior year in high school. So to think
Yeah.
of you guys putting out 9 albums since then is also for me reverberates through the ages.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, 9 is a lot. I agree. It's a lot. Hey, can you tell me about your record collection? It's enormous. What's the story?
The story is, and thanks for asking. I just started collecting as a kid. My mom liked to go to a lot of thrift stores and stuff like that in the I guess this would be, mid late 80s, and
Uh-huh.
that's I'm about 11 years behind you, so I'm
Oh, right,
45. So that would have been
right.
my time where, and then certainly when CDs became more popular and people were selling records at garage sales and stuff like that, I was just bonkers for them. And you know how it was at that time. You couldn't get everything on CD that you wanted, and
Yes,
it wasn't the
right.
same. And so at that time, wasn't really about high fidelity or anything to me. It was just collecting cool things, and I love everything. I got a lot of rock and roll here. a lot of jazz, a lot of world music. So it's a big eclectic collection. I also was on DJ on WFDU in New York City for many years, about 20 years, believe it or
Oh,
not.
wow.
And
Incredible.
so I always had a, one of the things about record collecting that I feel is I want to share the stuff with other people. You feel like, oh, this is a great tune and I'd never heard this and I would like to put this on a show somewhere. So that's part
Hmm.
of my desire in record collecting is to make a playlist or share it with other people and let everybody know about it. So
That's great.
that's kind of the story there, but I'm about 7,000, something like that.
Nice.
I got some over here too that you can't see and a lot of stuff from the 90s on CD in the other
Oh,
corner
yeah.
over there. So
I've probably got 2,000. Most of it's in storage though, because
that's
I
a lot.
moved to England a long time ago and left most of it there, so it's in storage in Brooklyn. But one day we'll be reunited. That's great. My sister had a really big record collection, and she let go of a lot of it and gave me a lot of her 45s. And one of my favorite possessions is a Damned 45.
Mm.
I can't remember what the song is, but it's got rabbits on the cover. And my sister and her husband had a few rabbits at one point, and one of the rabbits nibbled the edge of that 45.
Oh,
I have a 45 with rabbits on it that also has real rabbit tooth marks in the top.
it's like the rabbits ate their own album
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's funny. Well, Matthew, I really appreciate your time. And listen, when if and when the not a well, not if when the not a
Yeah,
surf stuff comes
yeah.
out end of the year or whatever, if you want to do something, I would love to. I would
That
jump
sounds
in.
great,
That
for
would be great.
sure. Definitely.
Absolutely.
All right,
All
man,
right,
Evan.
Matthew.
Thanks so much.
Have a
You
great
too.
evening. I'm getting my day started, but you're
Have,
winding down already.
awesome.
So have a great day.
Have a great day. You too.